Good day, everyone. Today, I will be discussing geodetic and geological deformation of the island arc in northeast Japan as revealed by the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. This research offers critical insights into how the Earth's crust responds to major tectonic events. I will cover the geological context of northeast Japan, the 2011 Tohoku Oki earthquake, its deformation phases, key findings, and the broader implications for science and disaster preparedness. So let's dive in. Northeast Japan is a region defined by its tectonic activity. It sits along the Pacific Plate subduction zone, where one of the most complex geological interaction occurs. This region experiences significant strain as the Pacific Plate is forced beneath the North American Plate, leading to a variety of crustal deformations over time. The 2011 Tohoku Oki earthquake, a magnitude 9.0 event, was a rare and powerful seismic occurrence that allowed scientists to analyze deformation patterns in detail. The image shows the subduction zones, the Japan Trench, and seismic activity along the region. In this presentation, I aim to provide a comprehensive understanding of how such earthquakes affect crustal dynamics, focusing on the events between elastic and inelastic deformation processes. We'll also explore the practical application of these findings. So to fully understand the 2011 Tohoku Oki earthquake, we first need to consider geological and geodetic background of Northeast Japan. From a geological perspective, this region evolved as a continental arc until the Sea of Japan began opening about 25 million years ago. As the Pacific Plate continued to subduct between the North American Plate, east-west compression began around 3.5 million years ago, causing significant crustal shortenings and uplifting mountain ranges, such as the Uo Backbone Range. Genetically, Japan has been at the forefront of monitoring crustal deformation. Triangulation networks were first established in the 19th century, providing baseline measurements. Today, the modern GNSS-based GeoNet system enables real-time millimeter-level precision in tracking crustal movements. This dense network, combined with geological data, makes Northeast Japan one of the most well-documented regions for studying tectonic deformation. Now, let's focus on the event itself. On March 11, 2011, the magnitude 9.0 Tohoku Oki earthquake struck offshore in central northeast Japan. The fault ruptures extended over 400 kilometers north-south and 200 kilometers east-west. This event triggered a massive tsunami, resulting in over 18,000 facilities destroyed and devastating coastal infrastructures. This earthquake provided an unparalleled dataset for studying crustal deformation in three distinct phases. First is interseismic deformation. Before the earthquake, the crust experienced gradual contraction due to interplate locking. Strain accumulated over the centuries, particularly in the zones like the Niigata-Kobe tectonic zone. Second, the co-seismic deformation. During the earthquake, the crust underwent sudden east-west tension. This resulted in eastward displacement for up to 5.3 meters and vertical subsidence of up to 1.2 meters along the Pacific coast. Third is the post-seismic deformation. Following the earthquake, the crust experienced uplift and gradual relaxation driven by mantle dynamics. This phase will likely continue for decades. So, let's explore the key findings derived from this earthquake. First, the earthquake resolved the long-standing strain rate paradox. Before 2011, geodetic measurements showed strain rates that were 10 times larger than geological estimates. The data revealed that geodetic observations capture elastic strains due to interplate locking, which isn't reflected in geological records. This insight confirmed that elastic deformation dominates short-term timescales. Second, the study distinguished between elastic and inelastic deformation processes. Elastic strains build up and is released during major earthquakes. In contrast, inelastic deformation, such as the mantle viscous flow or permanent fault displacement, contributes to the long-term crustal changes. Lastly, the earthquake highlighted the importance of localized deformation zones, such as the Niigata-Kobe tectonic zone and the O backbone range. These areas exhibited significant contraction and uplift, showcasing how faulty activity and regional tectonics amplify deformation. To achieve these findings, the researchers employed a combination of historical and modern techniques. Historical data, triangulation, and leveling surveys from the late 19th century provided baseline measurements of crustal deformation. Modern GNS networks, like the GeoNet system, enabled precise monitoring of horizontal and vertical displacement. These measurements were supplemented by ocean bottom genetic arrays to capture offshore deformation. Geological data, such as long-term records, like marine terraces and fault studies, were used to understand deformation over millennia. Researchers compared deformation patterns across three phases: interseismic, coseismic, and postseismic. This helped distinguish elastic deformation, which dominates short-term processes, from inelastic deformation, which contributes to long-term crustal changes. They also modeled the post-seismic phase using finite element simulations to evaluate the role of mantle viscosity and fault afterslips in driving gradual uplift and deformation. Additionally, strain rate maps were generated from GPS data to identify high strain zones like the NKTZ or the Niigata-Kobe tectonic zone. This integrated methodology enabled a detailed understanding of how tectonic stress accumulates and is released over time. Such analysis bridges the gap between geological records and real-time geodetic observations, providing a holistic view of deformation processes. These findings have significant implications for both society and science. From a scientific perspective, they enhance our understanding of how tectonic processes, such as how interplate coupling and mantle viscosity influence deformation cycles. The differentiation between elastic and inelastic responses provided a clear picture of how strain is stored and released. In a more practical, this research contributes to improve seismic hazard models. By identifying zones of high deformation, authorities can prioritize resources for disaster mitigation. It also emphasizes the need for continuous monitoring to predict and prepare for future seismic events. To summarize everything we've discussed so far, the 2011 Tohoku-oki earthquake served as a natural experiment offering insights that were previously unattainable. By combining geological and geodetic observations, this study advanced our understanding of rockeal deformation and its implications for seismic hazard. As we continue to monitor tectonic activity in regions like Northeast Japan, these findings will play a critical role in improving earthquake preparedness and protecting communities at risk. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention. If you want to read the full article, here are the references that I've used for my presentation. Feel free to check them out. Thank you.